It's called the
Cut Columbus.
Yeah.
Are we talking
Not yet. Not yet.
Cut Columbus?
The Cut Columbus.
Owner of the Cut Columbus. Okay.
All right. Oh, look at
Are we
this.
up?
Aw.
Let me share
It's
this.
like a little family
Mike,
portrait.
stop tagging me and shit to Facebook, dude. I'm trying to do a radio show.
When I'm oiled up, I want you to see it. All right, so we're going to talk about the 7 entrepreneurial myths. Don't worry, I'll handle it. You just talk, and if you have something you want to say, just cut it any time. Not you, idiot.
Me?
No, that one.
Specifically.
I'm confused.
Corned beef.
You're good.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Once you
Canadian.
bring, are you gonna? We should bring Andrew in on the first. Introduce him again. People might have forgot about him.
Oh, would you like to do the show for me?
Who cuts your hair?
Jim Borchers.
Why not me?
Michael,
Because I've always gone to her.
I
sorry,
love that
Jimmy, what?
voice.
what I'm
I
going
know.
to do
It's great.
is,
It sounds great on the radio.
Mine?
Yeah, I want your voice.
when it's the
Gravelly
appropriate
as hell.
time for your first break, I'm going to go like
One
this.
of my favorite
Please don't break
comedians.
before that
Yeah,
because we
I
need to have
want
the ID at a certain
Yeah,
time.
big.
So I'm going to wait
I
until
don't
about
think-
23 and then
I
I'm
won't
going to
break
go.
Hey, baby.
That way, I'll go like this, and then within a minute, that means you should break with an
You're
audio.
gonna need 2 hands.
That way we get the ID in at the proper
Yeah.
place.
I do it
We don't
Ninja
get
Turtle
Climb it like a
style.
tree.
Got it.
What is this?
Ninja Turtle style.
I can't even do that
Zip
shit. Yeah. All right, let's do this.
Sorry, I'm done.
Hey, our guest is ready. Are you guys finished goofing around?
Yes.
Let's start the show so I can continue goofing around.
All right.
There we go. Save your best goofs for the show. Make Michael laugh. Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Welcome back to the 101, the small business and entrepreneurial show in Columbus, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. We've got good news. We got a full staff today, including Andrew Leachman, who has come down from a roof today to actually be with us. Andrew, don't speak up. I got to introduce everybody else. Well, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, good. And then Madison is here as always.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I
You're
appreciate
welcome. And Madison brought a guest today, Meg Harpe from the Cut Columbus. Meg, how are you?
I am fantastic.
Guys, I'm glad we got a full house, and I'm sorry you guys have to share a microphone, but we don't have the resources to have 4 mics, apparently. So I'll just call on you individually, and you guys can work it out. Meg, what do you know about this show so far?
I know that my great friend Madison started business adventures and wanted to share his knowledge and passion for life with young entrepreneurs in the city.
Now, you yourself are an entrepreneur. Tell people what you do.
Well, by day I'm a hair cutter. By night, bit of a rock star.
Okay. Which one do you make more money with?
I mean,
Like, Rockstar sounds good, but like when you're cutting hair during the day, you do charge for that.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so let's say that
That's the
my
first
I'll
step.
keep
That's
my
the
day
first
job.
step.
Let's just say I'll keep my
Okay.
day job.
You're very colorful, by the way. You've got a lot of bracelets and chains, and so I can tell that you
Two
cut
chains.
hair mainly because of the tattoos. So I can tell that this is something you're very passionate about, right?
You can tell I cut hair via my tattoos.
Yeah. I mean, every time I go to get like great clips, they don't do that, but they do massage your neck. They just don't have the amount of tattoos you have. So I'm glad.
It's on my resume, heavily tattooed.
I can see that
Hair
you
cutter.
actually brought one with you, and I think that, well, I'm not hiring you. So I thought today what we would talk about is you're 25, you said?
Yeah, I'll be 26 next month.
And so, Madison, how old are you again?
17.
Okay, good. And Andrew, you look 48, but you are?
48,
Okay,
actually,
good.
yeah.
Youngsters.
So we have a mix of ages here as far as entrepreneurs, but I thought what we would talk about today is the 7 entrepreneurial myths. And number 1, and I know we kind of talked about this last week with Ryan Brown from Freedom Windows, entrepreneurs are born with the entrepreneurial gene. Madison, how do you see that? Is that a true or false?
That's definitely a true, I think. For me, I knew it when I was young because my parents were entrepreneurs. It just turned into, my biggest struggle was finding out what I was good at and
Right.
knowing what I wanted to actually get into. I think it is something you're born with, but then some people are exposed to it and realize, I didn't even know that I was an entrepreneur at heart, but because I was exposed to certain things, now I am kind of.
But you had an advantage, again, both your parents were entrepreneurs, so you kind of knew that there was a different path than just corporate America.
Right, yeah, my dad was a pastor, so I don't know how that's an entrepreneur, but everybody was potentially.
Everybody needs a little piece of God now.
That's
and
right.
then.
You mostly.
Wow, that's hurtful.
Good thing I'm in the room.
Yeah, I was going to say, Meg, let's go to you. How much are you
I-
involved in with God or entrepreneurial
Well,
ship?
let's just focus on the entrepreneurial side
Okay,
of things. I'm actually going to take a different perspective than Madison did. I had no clue that I ever wanted to be an entrepreneur individually or own anything. I started out as an athlete, joined the military, and then decided to creatively go to hair school on a whim. And I even said in hair school I never wanted to own a salon ever. And I met the right people, and I met a guy that made me truly believe that it's something that I could do. And
Is that
left
G-Mag?
Well, wait a
left
minute.
corporate hair. I left
Go
a
on.
big company with a big safety net to explore my brand as a small business owner. So I kind of feel as if I walked into entrepreneurship because of the people that I surrounded myself with.
But I want to back up real quick. Why did you not want to own your own business? What was your thought in saying that you didn't want to own one?
Well, in my industry, owning a shop it's a lot of heavy lifting. It no longer just becomes creative. It becomes something very fundamental, and I'm a creative person. And Madison can contest, and he's personally seen that I've grown as an individual and as a professional while learning the entrepreneurial necessities to be able to run something that I'm doing.
So when you got to that point and you said, okay, I do want to own this, you find the right people to kind of back you or to kind of push you that way. What was it like when it was kind of like you take the training wheels off? You know, how do you feel?
I think I'm still in the process of taking the training wheels off. We're a very new company, and my business partners have taught me an immense amount of knowledge, and it's only up from here.
Well, just to recap, when I first met Meg, she was over at Rendezvous, a salon, and Meg kind of became an entrepreneur without knowing it because she left Rendezvous to go to a salon lofts, which salon lofts ultimately promotes entrepreneurship, right? Like
Right.
you're your own booth. Yeah, you pay monthly, but you have to get your own clients. You have to manage the money. You have to learn how to receive the money. So, I mean, for the most part, Meg blindly became an entrepreneur without even realizing it. It wasn't until people started realizing Meg's skill set and like, there's nothing like this in Columbus, the way that you cut hair, and you're really talented for your age. So it was just a matter of time before somebody saw that in Meg and took it to the next level, which is why the Columbus was created. So Meg kind of has always been an entrepreneur without, like I said earlier, some people know when they're 8 years old, I'm going to sell cookies to kids at school and make money, and other kids don't do that, but when they get to a certain age, you're like, hey, I could do this for myself. So I think it goes both ways.
Well, Andrew, you've had kind of that's like a background, sort of like Madison had. Your family was a small business owner and entrepreneur. You get out of school and you're kind of on your own. Like, you're not a guy that normally likes to sit still. You're always into something. So do you agree that that's a myth, or do you agree that you are an entrepreneur from birth?
So I think, even though Meg doesn't necessarily completely believe that, I think that you are born with it. Maybe you just don't know it. I think the thought of
I agree with
being
that.
an entrepreneur, it can be daunting almost. Like you said, that's why you didn't want to do the business things, because so people will turn off from something they genuinely want to do, but they're afraid. If they're afraid of the fear of failure can sometimes turn people off from chasing what they want, and they stay within the safety net of being with a big company. Okay, yeah, I'm going to make nickels here, and I'm happy with it. And they don't think of what if they could, expand their own creativity and expand their own brand. I think I was born with it from. I remember going around my neighborhood at 8 years old I found raffle tickets in my dad's closet and was selling split the pot tickets to my neighbors.
That's awesome.
Wait. Did the pot actually exist, or you were just selling
Yeah,
a ticket?
one
Okay.
of my neighbors won half the money and I won the other half.
I didn't know you were
That's
like.
how split the pot works. I made money. I was basically running a lottery.
So you just
lottery
admitted to a crime on
Yeah,
the radio.
and we're talking like this was in like mid '90s, and we're like $300,000 or $400,000 houses down in Chillicothe. So these are like not a nice neighborhood. And my dad didn't know anything. My parents knew nothing about it. So I think they were pretty much mortified that I was walking around doing my own lottery and within the neighborhood. But
There's like so many state laws you violate.
so many federal and state laws. But then I've always just found a way to make money on the side of what I'm doing. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing with what I do is I'm not a salary employee. I am based off of how I perform. And I left something that's, you know, an easy $30,000, $40,000 a year. Anybody can get that job. The thought of going in and clocking in to trade my time for a measly $10 an hour sounds horrible. Like I just took another security job, and I wouldn't do it for less than X amount of money because I was like, I'm just going to throw a number out here because it sounds ridiculous, and they agreed to pay it. That's the only way I could even fathom working on the weekends. It's only 5 hours at a time, but to me, I think making money and maximizing my time and not having to give somebody my time for pennies on the dollar is the best part about being your own owner.
Yeah, Mike, you and I talk about this all the time. When you're a salesperson working for a big company, you are your own little company within that big company. And
well,
not
we talked about how if you were sitting at a desk, if you're in media, that you're, one of my old bosses said, you're running $1 million business in that cubicle.
That's exactly right.
And all you really have is a phone and a computer that they gave you. Once you hear that the first time, you go, I am wasting my time because like Andrew said, you're basically working for 10%. So if you bill $1 million, you can make 100,000. That seems great. But what if I could bill 1.5 and I could keep 20% or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you start to realize that if you are an entrepreneur, it just gets kicked into high gear because you're like, wait a second, I'm making all this money for somebody else. Even though if I like the job, I like the people I work with, it doesn't really matter when you see your skill set not being taken advantage of because that's what the company's doing. They're giving you an opportunity. You're making the most of it. If you have the skill set to go out and do it on your own, like that's the American dream. I mean, right? That's what we get into. And I think sales just heightens that. You realize, hey, I'm doing everything already. Why wouldn't I just do it for myself?
Right. Well, let's stay on that point because the second part of the entrepreneurial myth is all you need is one great idea. So you're kind of leading into that. So, and Meg, in your situation, what makes you different from other? I know you are very creative, but what makes you different from your competition? Your one idea, or is that a myth and there's more to it than that?
Oh no, especially in my industry. But I definitely, and having Madison as a client, I think the biggest word would be the experience, the relationship that I build with my clients. It's not just a haircut. I look at that 30-minute appointment that I have with said client, and it's in front of a mirror. It's a stage. I'm on stage for half an hour. I don't care what's going on with my day. As soon as someone sits in my chair, I'm on stage, and it's about them. It's the experience. I need to see them smile. I need to see them shed the weight, in quotations, the hair I'm cutting off their head, and make them have a better day. Make them feel better about themselves when they're leaving. And we're both on that stage together. And we could completely fail emotionally, visually, anyway. And it's my job to, love that person for that half hour and give them an amazing experience, give them a great haircut, but make them feel better.
Well, because you have a concept, right? I mean, you have you both kind of walk into it together. They're trusting you, but
Exactly.
Are they communicating effectively enough to help you with the creativity and giving them?
It's a relationship. It's totally a relationship. Every time I have a new client sit in my chair, my icebreaker is, we're on a first date. These are the only kind of dates I go on. I don't do dates. Except
well, that's going to be our second show, and that's going to be 2 hours long. That's more if we're going to lay on a couch in front of a microphone, but
there's a lot of guys in this room.
Yeah, and we're all staring at you in a weird way. Andrew, when you
I wish
have
these people knew what I looked like.
they can see you on Facebook Live.
Oh.
Wave to the camera. There you go.
Yo.
Stay behind the microphone. So, Andrew, as far as your one big idea theory, because a lot of people say, well, Elon Musk, if you're looking at it now, he's got SpaceX, right? But that's not where he started. You have to go all the way back to he invented PayPal to take that money to put it into Tesla, the Tesla money to put it into SpaceX. So that's not one idea. He is what would be referred to as a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But you've been around people that have one idea and we're going to dominate this one space, and they didn't think big enough, right?
Well, this day and age with the media, social media, how quickly people communicate all over the world, the setting and the back, like the whole dynamic changes from year to year. You have to evolve and have to change, and you have to be able to slide into where you think needs may need met without even knowing it. I think Elon Musk is doing all this stuff so he can play with rockets. He likes to have a bunch of money so he can shoot stuff off into space.
Right, but if that is his end goal, he had to have the idea that got him there.
So I don't think just one idea. I think being able to have a spark. I think one idea as a spark is a good start, but just clinging to that one idea, I don't think you're ever going to become Elon Musk with one idea, in my opinion.
Well, I also think there's that burnout factor.
Yeah.
If I have one idea and then I push it as far, if you're not creative enough to take it another step, then you're gonna run out of energy.
Evolve, change your brand. You need to be able to pivot when things aren't going well.
You know, it's an interesting topic because, not to play the devil's advocate.
Oh, here we go.
But I'm going to.
Always.
I know.
Every
This is why you
show.
have me on here, just to be annoying.
No, I have you in case Andrew's on a roof and Meg doesn't come.
That's on the last resort. All right, fair enough. But anyway, to have one big idea, I think a lot of entrepreneurs have a bunch of ideas that don't work, and the one that's stuck is the big idea, right? So a lot of failure happens, a lot of heartbreak happens, not for everybody, but for some people. So having the one big idea, there might have been 50 ideas before that. The other side of that is you don't have one big idea. It doesn't have to be one thing that's unique. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you create something. Meg didn't reinvent the wheel by cutting hair. She's doing it better. She's giving a better experience.
She refined it, though.
She refined it, and you know when you go in there that it's consistent, it's the same every time. I can't tell you when I go into Great Clips or Master Cuts or any of these other brand chains that I'm going to get a consistent haircut from the same person every time. And for a professional person in a professional industry, that means a lot.
There are emotions tied to it, right? So your personal appearance, there's emotions tied to that. So you have to really trust the person that you're with. I mean, I'm sure people come to you over and over. They don't negotiate the price. They want the experience.
Completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, I think it's one great business plan that works. You didn't invent media.
I did.
Well,
I mean, it had existed for about 90 years, but
I am hair.
Yeah.
Meg is hair.
Meg is hair.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you are doing something unique within the media industry and how you get your clients and how you work with them and the value that you bring. Somebody else is an agency just like you, but you're doing it outside the box, similar to Lincoln Wallace, similar to Andrew's skill set. So I think it's more of a business plan and how you operate than necessarily. Yeah. Now the founder of Snapchat, hell yeah, that was a great idea. Which, by the way, did you hear about the tweet with Kylie Jenner last week?
Yes. Tell people about that.
So
because this is the thing that you and I have experienced this when you have somebody that endorses a product and things go wrong, kind of like Ryan Seacrest, who's all snatchy, grabby. But you have somebody that's on all these products and all these shows and is producing content. When they get accused, it taints the entire thing. So go ahead and talk about. And I can't keep it straight. Which one is it? Kyrie?
Kyrie. That's Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving's not on Snapchat?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Oh.
So Kylie Jenner, I think she's the younger one. She just recently had a child, and there was a big update on Snapchat that everybody freaked out about and said it was horrible. Well, she comes out and posts on Twitter, is it just me, or does nobody else get on Snapchat anymore either? That caused a $1.3 billion drop in Snapchat stock because of one tweet.
Which is why you should never let somebody else speak for your company, right? I mean, that's the one thing that
it's
we
true,
always
but she wasn't speaking for the company as.
I understand that, but they compensated her to speak for that product. So you have one idea. Snapchat's going to be your focus, and you're going to put it behind people that are kind of volatile. The whole reason you put somebody, you're paying them that is, they are going to create a buzz, right? Well,
also, why are we in a world that Snapchat's this important?
Listen, if you want to come on a show and talk about something other than Snapchat, that's fine.
Talk about Instagram.
The second half of the show is always Snapchat because Andrew's on it during the show and we can't get him to pay attention. But that's that one idea concept that you need to evolve past, because now what does Snapchat do? You can't unring that bell, right?
I'm with Kylie. I don't Snapchat.
Well, you will by the end of this show.
Forgot my password.
Let's go. I'll find it. I deal with the Russians. We can hack in anything. So I want to get into, before we're going to come up against a break here in a little bit, but I want to go into formal education. Does that determine your success as an entrepreneur? Meg, we're going to go with you because you have a very wide background here: military, owning your own salon.
Yeah, I do not have any college degrees. I had no desire to go to college. I actually left the opportunity to have a soccer scholarship and paid college to not go. So I do not believe that. I believe street cred's a thing, you know?
Well, define what you mean by that. Like, you mean just actually...
My business partner told me one time that he said to his professor, this book that I'm reading right now is the same book that people read years before me, and it's the same book that people are going to read years after me. The world is ever changing. The world is ever evolving. Business is ever changing. Relationships are ever changing. So what is one book that one person wrote one time going to teach me when I could learn something today and turn that thing into something that I learn tomorrow? On the street, in my business, making relationships with people. I would rather learn from the guy next to me than...
Thank you.
Yeah, you are sitting next to me.
To your right. Sorry.
I'm going to point in both directions right now. I think you learn more via relationships. At least in my case. I'm a firm believer in that.
Well, Andrew is the biggest guy on relationships I know. He always knows. What is it? I'm Mr. Noah Guy?
My friends call me Noah Guy.
Yeah.
So I always know somebody.
He always says, I know a guy that does this.
Is like my nickname.
Yeah. So, but do you think that's important, having formal education?
So I'll actually split it down the middle here. I have a 4-year degree in business administration, and when I was getting that, I was actually running a business. So I was able to take a lot of when I got into my actual business administration class load, I was able to take a lot of the problem-solving stuff and apply it to the business. So I learned a lot of fundamental and how to actually start business systems is kind of what I can figure out problems and figure out a way to actually train people and teach people stuff. But I don't think that's what you win with. I think knowing people, meeting people, gaining loyalty from people, and not because I just want people to be loyal to me, but help people out, help people make some money if they need it, work here and there. There's a lot of different ways to just create and establish relationships with people that you're not, it's just a symbiotic relationship with them. You're not always asked for something, but if they need something, you do something for them. And if people know you're a good guy, they don't really struggle with helping you out. People want to help nice people out, and people that are honest and straightforward, for the most part at least.
Well, again, to go back to how all this started, I was already doing the show, and Andrew connected me to Madison, and it was within probably 5 minutes, we just picked up like we were old friends, and then it kind of evolved into this hour-long program.
Yeah.
Well, did you know it's an hour, by the way, Andrew? You've been gone for several months.
I've been sleeping for the last month, actually.
I almost forgot to point this out, and I want to get this out before the break. We're doing a show, and you're posting about eating donuts, like, oh, what a tough day, while we're doing the show, and Rachel busted you out on that. I just want to point that out.
Hey,
do an hour-long show, and you can't even get here because you're at Duck Donuts.
Well, last week I was up in the office, and I got in my truck to go to my other appointment. And I pulled up Facebook, and I saw you guys streaming. I was like, oh, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, I have to go to my 1 o'clock. I guess I'm not going to be at the studio right now.
I just wanted to point out that was probably your one big idea, was not to come to the show.
Oh, that was absolutely my idea.
It's evolved into 3
I just
or 4
stared at
weeks
the
of not
donuts,
coming.
too. I didn't even touch them. I was eating my food, eating
Nobody's
my
gonna
beef
food
and
shame you
rice.
on this show.
I will.
Madison, before we go to break, I want to talk about formal education. Does it determine your success? Because you had a weird kind of background educationally.
Yeah, I have a lot of weird stuff going on in my life.
That's what it is. One of
So I just want to, there's this quote I saw on Instagram. It's by the guy that made the Dell computer. And he said, you don't have to be a genius or a visionary or even a college graduate to be successul. You just need a framework and a dream. And it's so true. It sounds so cliche to quote something, but it's so true. Like, a lot of the people that didn't go to, like my brother-in-law never went to college. 28 years later, still owns a business in the millions. Like, and all he had was a dream, hard work, and hustle. And I have a background, technically, I have 2 associate's degrees. I don't even have a full bachelor's degree. Do I use any of it? No. It's my relationships, it's my work ethic, It's thinking outside the box, and it's partnering with people that want to grow with you. And if you can do those things and have a good business plan, it's hard to fail.
Well, there's a quote I saw Elon Musk had said. He said, "I never went to Harvard, but all the people that work for me do." Andrew, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, real quick. I think to not throw out the associate's degrees, I think that going and having to acquire those taught you things about yourself and taught you how to actually go after something you wanted to accomplish and to finish a goal. So there's, not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but there is some use for it. But
Absolutely, there definitely is use for it. I would never say that college isn't useful. It just depends on who you are as a person. But yeah, I agree with you, Andrew.
I want to take a break right here because we've been going for 23 minutes, but we will be right back on the 101 brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. You're fucking terrible. I'm just kidding.
You're great.
I just wanted you to feel good.
I was like, oh my god,
he
really?
beats you down. So
I'm
you
not
feel
even
good
like
again.
talking that much. I'm like
No,
being quiet for me.
No, you
Well, now you're getting out of hand.
We're gonna need you back in a 2.
Yeah. I feel like you got all upset because I insulted
What's this break for?
It's just so we can gather our thoughts and then go right back in. We got to put commercials in.
This is how the radio show is. It's nothing to do with Facebook. If it
Sounds
was just on
smoother. They got
Facebook,
commercial breaks.
you guys could sit at Starbucks and talk on Facebook.
So do you need to get out of here at a certain time? Because we can... Are we going to do another break after this?
Yeah.
No, I can. I have 20 more minutes.
Okay, so we could do this next segment.
Our next
Yeah,
Or
we'll,
even, like-
we'll do another break.
Actually,
you
I can
know,
do
right
30
around-
more minutes. I'll be back in 10.
We'll do another break around 41 or 42 like we did last week,
If
and
you gotta
then
go at that
you can
point.
take
That'd
off.
probably be perfect.
Yeah.
I can do 30 more minutes. If I leave at
Okay.
1:10, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Well,
we'll do another
20 minutes
about 15-minute segment, and then you can take off, and then they'll wrap up with the final segment, which will be the shortest one.
I will say this sharing the mic thing sucks.
And
I'm like, hey, Michael.
I talked to our engineer, and there's no way that we can wire another microphone into this
Yeah,
board.
I guess.
But if you guys want to buy us a new board, I don't know how much one of these
I
Wheatstone
am
boards
not
costs.
buying you a new
Probably,
toy.
I don't know, six
No, it's-
figures.
It's all good. I'm
Then
just
we
giving
can-
Mike mine.
And yeah, I don't
Unfortunately.
really talk about what you're saying. All right, Jimmy, I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, if we were a talk radio station and not all 4 stations is music, then we would probably have a studio that would have like
More,
8 microphones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe if you weren't complaining so that much.
But I wouldn't be working here if it were a talk radio station. I prefer music radio stations, but
Music.
that's me.
Harry
That's
Styles.
me.
Yeah, your fave, Harry Styles.
Harry Styles is best. You like Harry Styles?
Please say no.
Hair.
Because you look like Harry
I like
Styles.
Walk the Moon.
Well, that was cute. Wait.
Walk the Moon, their latest hit single.
Wait, who's
One
that?
foot in
Walk
front
the
of
moon.
the
We're
other.
not listening.
Walk the Moon, 1 foot. 1 foot in front of the other. The group Walk the Moon.
I have no idea.
Their first hit was Shut Up and Dance.
Because
They
you
also
only
sing
know Harry
Goodbye.
Styles.
Shut up. That's Hanson.
There's nothing wrong with Harry Styles. I just want
No,
to
Shut Up and Dance by Walk the Moon.
No, I just sang it with you.
Yeah, you guys
He
had
said
to do it.
Mbop. I said that's Hanson.
Mbop is Hanson.
Yeah.
He's
That's
so
the-
serious.
Oh,
That's
Jimmy
those
is-
little
when it
boys,
comes to
Hanson.
music, he is
He is
serious.
so serious.
He
When it
is.
comes to
That's in sync.
I've worked here for 34 years. I'm serious.
Wow.
Like I said, I'm old. You guys are youngsters. Okay,
All right, ready?
we ready to roll?
Ready, set, go.
Here we go.
Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. I should reintroduce everybody because we're heading into the second part of the hour. Andrew Leachman, Madison Gillespie, and Meg Harpe. We were talking about the 7 entrepreneurial myths. We got through the first 3, so let's try to rally and get through the last 4 before Meg has to leave for some unknown reason. How are you?
Clients.
You're a guest on a radio show, and then you're like, I gotta leave in the middle.
I gotta work. I gotta be an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneurs don't have rules. So
I got a schedule though.
So, here, number 4, entrepreneurship is a sprint. True or false? I want to start with Andrew. No, you have to say it in the microphone. You can't shake your head.
I'm just saying. I'm disagreeing before you finish the sentence. I don't think it's a sprint. I think you can start with a sprint, but I think if you don't have long-term aspirations and a long-term goal, then you're going to be screwed eventually. You need to know where you're going, and I mean, even though you may feel like you're falling down as you're doing this and stumbling around and grabbing, and like you're walking in a haunted house with lights out, you don't know what's going on. You're eventually going to find a place where you know what's going on. When you hit that, then you need to be thinking further, 5-10 years down the road.
Well, you have to have a time frame in mind, right? So,
Yeah, you need to be planning things.
because typically they say, it takes 5 to 7 years for a business really to start making money. So you can be in the black in year 2 or 3. That doesn't mean you're really making enough money you wouldn't be making the same amount of money that you'd be working for somebody else.
Well, that's in the black. That doesn't account for business costs, or if you have a
buying your own health insurance.
Yep, there's all kinds of things that can pop up.
Madison, how do you feel about that?
What was the question again?
Madison, welcome to the show.
Oh, hey.
It was
blacked out there.
The myth is that entrepreneurship is a sprint. And you're answering this really slow, so I think you're not. I don't know if you're debating it.
I think you're just not paying attention.
No, I heard it. I just trying to
Meg,
regain
what's
my
your
thoughts.
feelings on the subject?
Tour de France. It's the longest race ever. I don't feel like it ever stops. Why would no? It's not a sprint.
That's a good point. No, don't. I'm reading this. I didn't write this. I'm just reading it. You're taking offense at something I'm reading.
No, I'm passionate.
She's passionate.
I'm Italian, man. It just comes out like that.
That's right.
I don't
That's
think
a
it's
good
a
point,
sprint
man.
whatsoever. I think it is a never-ending journey. Because entrepreneurs never want to.
It's not a destination; it's a way of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a journey. You never get to the top. When you get to where you want to go, then we want to go somewhere else.
If you think you're at the top, then you may as well be done.
Exactly, and you never want to be done.
Well, that is okay. That's a good point. But do you think that the worst thing you can do is get to the top of that mountain to actually hit that goal? I think your goal has to be so unattainable that you never quite get there because what is the saying? The wolf on the top of the hill isn't as hungry as the one climbing it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you follow Gary Vee a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, he talks about that he found out he's just obsessed with the process.
Right.
Like he just loves building products. He loves the journey of entrepreneurship. So to some people, that's how it is. It depends on what you're getting into as far as it being a sprint. To make money, hell yeah, it's a sprint.
Well, everybody wants to make the money,
But-
but at the end of the day,
To pay yourself at the beginning.
right. But I think you have to have a longer term goal than that because again, just making money—that's not why anybody gets into entrepreneurship.
No, you're right. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But at the beginning of the marathon, you want to get off to a good start.
Right.
You want to be aggressive. You want to make sure that you can survive off the concept that you're creating. So parts of it are sprint. Parts of it are the marathon, but the longevity of the business, it's a marathon. There's no sprint to it unless you're trying to sell it
Right.
within a year or whatever the case may be.
Well, I think you see a lot of people that are so anxious to make money. Like they think that that's the first thing. What I see a lot more is someone has a concept and they're going to do this or that, but they want to dress down. They want to dress really hip, and they don't want to put the work in.
Have tattoos.
Yeah, I mean tattoos. Come on, really.
Cut hair because I have tattoos.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's why. I'm saying it helps. And you have an assortment of rings. You look like you killed 9 green
I have
lanterns.
pirate hands.
Okay, well, I don't know if that means they're like
I think you out
sausages.
back afterwards.
Sausage. I'm an Italian sausage.
But I think that's what I see. There's somebody that or the Madison and I know either of or well that they became an entrepreneur and all they want to do is they want to write books and they want to speak and all, none of which is generating revenue. They've got to put time into it, but they want to be like Gary Vee without really busting your tail to build anything. It's I want to write this book so people jump on board and think I'm an advocate. I'm the advocate for change. At the end of the day, you're just some other yutz who wrote a book.
Right. Well, it's funny because I think the trend is to put stuff on your Instagram or Facebook. I'm a motivational speaker, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. And I had this conversation like last week talking about most of those people who have the platform that they have built a really successful brand or company that led them to the platform that they now have. Unless you're an artist or a musician or somewhere that you were able to work up through the ranks by your music or the artistry that you have. On the business side of things, most people like Tony Robbins, Lewis Howes, Gary Vee, most of them built products, built companies, and then had the platform to encourage other entrepreneurs to get there. You can't just say, I'm a motivational speaker.
Right. Well, Les Brown. Do you know who Les Brown is?
Football coach?
Yeah. No.
Band leader.
Les Brown was a guy that was in radio. Like when he was a kid, the school system said he was mentally retarded. Okay, he just had dyslexia and problems reading and that. But Les Brown always wanted to be in radio, so he took a job cleaning the building at the radio station. And what happened was there was a guy that was on the air who was drunk during his shift, and it was on the weekend, so there's no one else to take this person's place. The station manager calls. And he had been practicing his gimmick over and over. Like, this is Les Brown, you're listening from, West Coast to East Coast. That he had done that so many times in his house. So when the guy is drunk, He removes him from the airwaves. And the station manager says, do you have someone there that could take over? He goes, I got a guy. Don't worry about it. He jumps on the air, calls all his friends, tells them to listen. Well, the outpouring of his energy on the air, they said, you hustled. You got that gig. He ends up getting fired years later, and he's homeless. So then he has to build this empire. This guy speaks, and when he speaks, he gets paid like $50,000 to go to some school, and people pay to hear him. But he's the guy that he's failed, won. Failed, won. Failed. I can't remember. Who's the lady who did the psychic? Dionne Warwick. He was married to her. She was the psychic hotline lady, but she was also a singer.
Miss Cleo?
Not Miss Cleo.
I said that with a straight face.
But I think he was friends with Miss Cleo. But the point being,
Tell me now.
this is a guy who the school system wrote off and said, you're never going to be anything. So he's at the top of his game. But when you listen to a Tony Robbins or people like that, they credit Les Brown. They listen to him. So it's all about creating your own content and putting it out there, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think, not to time back into Meg, that's kind of what she's creating her own content and what she does with the Cut Columbus.
Well, I give her a lot of credit because at her age, when I was her age, I was working in a corporate structure. And it was so, like what you had said earlier, it is so frustrating that you can't just do what you want to do. So if you're an artist...
I tell Madison all the time, I felt like I was becoming a hair-cutting robot.
Right.
I was just regurgitating what a corporation was telling me to do, and it was sucking the creativity out of me. And that's what
it's important to maintain that. Is, you know, if you do that
100%.
for 10 years, it may be dried up or gone. If you don't cultivate your creativity, it can be gone. You can lose that, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, you totally can.
Well, the thing that makes Meg so special and what she does is the haircut. She gives an amazing fade, by the way. And she's just really, really talented with what she does. But going back to her point at the beginning of this, she's a relationship builder. Meg's one of the most connected people I know in Columbus with what she does because she deals with professionals all the time. And Meg's brand is her personality and what she creates and the people. Like she's an attractive personality that you want to be around. This is how me and Meg met. I heard about her on Facebook, right? So I message this guy. I go, "Who cuts your hair?" He goes, "Meg Harpe." So I get her number and I text her and I go, "Hey, I want to come get my hair cut." This is like 5 years ago. And she goes, "Great." She's like, "What do you look like?" And I go,
"No." I said, "What are you looking for?"
"Oh yeah, what are you looking for?" So then I get on.
So
my
I could get
describe
this. So I could get
you look like a stick figure in a sweater. That's what you look like.
I think
Go
he's
on.
cuter than that. He asked me. The only reason I asked the question is so I could book the appropriate appointment
because my
time.
name's Madison, and
Because
she
his
didn't
name
know
was
if it was
not
long hair, short hair.
And so I made the assumption that I was servicing a female,
Right.
and so I needed
people
to.
do.
I needed
TBD.
to. Yeah, I needed to block out the appropriate amount of time for this service, and this guy.
So I sent her a picture of Carrot Top.
Right.
Because
she
this
goes,
is what I'm working with.
She goes, "Oh my gosh, I love you," and we instantly became.
Never met
best
him. I
friends.
said, "Oh my god, I love you already."
And I've sent probably over 15 plus people to her because she's so good at what she does. And when you walk in, you know, they say you kind of tell your hairstylist or barber everything. It's that time when you can actually just relax, not check your phone, and just cut loose. And that's what Meg is. That's what she creates. That's why she's attractive to people. That's why people go back to her.
And I'm actually attractive.
And she's extremely good looking.
TBD.
TBD.
Just to touch base on the people building things with like the entrepreneurs that just want to be entrepreneurs and teach people how to be entrepreneurs without establishing anything. You see a lot of that with Instagram, and it's the instant gratification of they're trying to just become this entrepreneur.
Like internet fame.
Yeah,
Yes.
I always wanted to make a shirt that says I'm somewhat kind of known on
like
Facebook.
they want to create some sort of
I would wear
viral
that.
content that gets them a bunch of followers like overnight, and you haven't established anything. You have no accomplishments backing up who you are. So then you get this false sense of
Reality.
being famous. And imagine if Instagram's gone tomorrow. You have 200 what? You don't have any followers because it's not even a platform anymore. So, my whole thing with building your brand should be based on establishing you accomplishing things and people following you and wanting
Word
to
of
be a part
mouth.
of your journey because of what you've done, rather than that you can teach them how to become an entrepreneur. There's a million people like that. Be
Well,
yourself.
you said something that kind of ties into this about a month ago about Facebook when they changed the algorithm to where it's not.
They made it more family and friends and like people that are close to you.
Right. So if you're doing business and you're actually creating organic content, it is harder to share that because I'm seeing posts now from say Saturday, and it's Wednesday today that we're recording this, and I'm thinking I already saw this. I'm not seeing anything new. But sometimes I don't see anything that you post or Madison.
So you have to kind of type those people's names in and go to their actual page, and then their stuff will actually get worked back.
Right, but that kind of goes back to the whole if Snapchat was gone tomorrow. If your business is based on being internet famous, whatever, and spreading this stuff, unless you're paying to promote it, it's not being seen as much, right?
They're getting smart about that. It was the Wild West for 5-10 years, and now they're like, hey, wait, why don't we control this so that you absolutely have to pay to sponsor stuff so that you can get the full reach of anybody that you want, and that you want to be able to hit your target audience instead of saying, hey, let's max out and get 5,000 friends on Facebook and then become a multi-level marketer and sell Advocare to a bunch of people and make my money off my Facebook feed.
Love that sparkling drink.
Hey, I don't. But Facebook was, if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, from a shareholder standpoint, where's Facebook's cut?
Right.
They're not making anything. So there's only natural is going to happen. They're just evolving their business model to fit what's going on and how people use their product. Simple as that.
Can I vent about Instagram for a second?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean,
Cool.
we are on the radio.
Yeah, so Instagram is one of the best resources that any of us have to get their brand out there, to let people know who you are, what you're doing, what you're about. But you got to be careful, because if you have all these followers and you have these people that are interested in you, are you promoting yourself in a way that people lust after what you're doing? Are you uplifting them? Are you encouraging them? Are you if you're being a public speaker but you have nothing to back it up with, then all you're doing is trying to create a brand around yourself, which is great, but what are you doing with that brand? How are you helping people? I get very agitated with just, I have 1,500 likes. Awesome. Cool. But what's that doing for you? How are you getting those followers? Are they organic? Do people, it gets in
Are
this
they
very...
paid?
Right. I have a friend that posted a picture up overnight, woke up, had 10,000 likes, and somebody private messenger and said, "Do you like this? I can do this to all your photos." How fake is that?
Right.
It
Well,
becomes fake.
I want
It's
to take
fake
the other
news.
end. I want to take the person that thinks that they, the person, are the brand, and like 4 people like their content. They keep cranking it out. There's this. If you're not getting attention, that means whatever you're putting out is garbage, right? So you've got to rethink your strategy.
Well, it's like the people that have, 10, 11. I actually posted something literally 2 hours ago about this. Kind
Of course you do, because
threw
you're
some
always on your
shade out.
phone.
I posted something about my girlfriend and just being able to teach her with fitness and grow and just establish better confidence for her over the last year. She just, she holds her head higher. She handles herself better in situations, and in the corporate world especially, she's confident in herself. But I laughed about it because there's people out there that are buying fake followers and are, you have 11,000 followers and 200 likes.
Right.
And
That makes-
yeah. I mean, you may have, there may be some people like actually following you. There's a bunch of fitness ones running around in Columbus. You can figure it out. But that's your brand, and that's the worst thing you can do long term for your brand, is because people can figure it out. It's not that hard to figure out. You bought followers, and then you just you're labeled a fraud, and then just a downward spiral. And whatever platform you built, good luck changing that, because now people just see you as a liar, and they're not going to hire you. Why would I hire somebody that I know is buying followers to pump their image up?
I created a hashtag probably 5 years ago when we met.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag Harpe hair. And if you go back to I've never deleted a haircut, and it's kind of embarrassing. It didn't used to be that good. If you go back to the beginning, there are 3 likes, 5 likes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being excited about 14 likes. Do you remember when Instagram was so new that it took 10 people to switch over to a number instead of seeing the names?
Yeah.
And now it's just a number.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember being like, oh my God, there's a number. It's not names. That is so sad that is implemented in our DNA now.
It is.
But if you look back, I don't have 1 million followers on Instagram. I have 3,000 something. But
the content you put out is exactly what you should be putting out.
that's what I'm
It's
saying.
about
Is
you,
like,
it's about your
if
brand.
you look at the history of that hashtag, you can see a genuine, authentic growth.
Right.
A slow one, a marathon of one.
Organic growth.
Yes, an organic growth of, she's been doing this for 6 years now, and she's getting better, and I'm trying harder, and I'm polishing things, and you can see that. And I have an immense amount of pride in those horrible haircuts.
You should.
And in those 3 likes, to be able to look back now and still think it's crazy that we're talking about posts and likes. But it's like,
It's the newspaper of today.
It is.
You don't buy a newspaper. That's
So,
why it
yeah,
looks
so if you...
Well, it's funny that you say that because we spent, before any of you guys were on the show, I had a conversation about LinkedIn and how I thought LinkedIn is the biggest waste of time, like, because it's somebody trying to sell you another product.
Yeah.
Well, so I took a different approach where Rachel and I will document almost everything that we do, and it's more just to share, like, when we do a billboard campaign or when we go on TV and we're taping a segment. It's more, we're just documenting that we were here, you know, with our client, and it's about them, it's not about us. And when you're talking about getting 3 likes on something, we would post things on LinkedIn, which is a business site, and it would get no traction. But now, because we're doing so much, we're doing the radio shows and we're doing the billboard campaigns and all this, when we're doing it, there's like, after a day, like 340 people will have liked it or viewed something. I know we're doing something right. I'm just not 100% sure what we're doing to get that.
It goes back to what's your impact? What do you want? If you have 14 likes and you impacted one person for what you were posting about, you win, as opposed to somebody that gets 1,000 likes that doesn't impact anybody or doesn't benefit from whatever you're trying to do. And it's all situational. I might post something on my personal page that has nothing to do with business, and I'm posting it just as something fun because it's social media. So it depends on what you get caught up in. We're caught up in this likes, not likes. There's people that post something, leave it there for 30 minutes. If they don't have over 20 likes,
It's
they delete
deleted.
it. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And I don't relate to that. I don't get it.
No.
We got to take one last break, and when we come back, I want to hit the last couple here on the 7 entrepreneurial myths because we promised people we would. So you're listening to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
You good?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, wait.
When's your next cut?
In a half hour.
Okay.
It takes
Well,
me
Yeah,
12
we got.
minutes to get back.
Jimmy, how much time?
About 11 more minutes.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, that's
You good?
totally fine.
Cool.
Totally fine.
Go right
So
back
here's what we got. We actually we've got hitting rapid growth means you made it. Money's the best employee motivator, which I don't care about employees, and people are expendable.
Do you want to give a shout out about the cut and where you're at and all that stuff?
Why are you whispering?
Huh?
Why are you whispering?
Oh, yeah.
They're not watching.
No, it's, oh, okay. Do you,
Like,
do you
they're
want
watching.
you just want to keep it going like it is?
No, let's just...
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna say all the shit you just said in a whisper. All right,
There
Jimmy,
you go.
ready?
Yep.
Welcome back to the 101. We have about 10, 11 minutes left, so I want to crank these last ones out if we can. We ended with entrepreneurship is a sprint, and we all disagreed it is not. Rapid growth means that you made it. Who wants to handle that first?
I mean, rapid growth, I think that's the opposite. I think that's the opposite of what you want, and what I would want at least. Unless you've got some dynamite idea that just is like, I don't know, Venmo or PayPal or something like that. I think if you've got a product or a brand that you're trying to grow, I think long-term organic growth is really what you should be banking on. But I don't think that the viral success, a lot of these accounts, a lot of this stuff on social media that's viral, you post a video and it's gone, and then they struggle to really get back on the scene, unless you're some sort of internet celebrity. But I don't think viral growth is good for a business or a brand long term.
Meg, how do you feel about that, being that, you know, you're relatively young and you're an entrepreneur? You're making money now, right? So, I mean, is that the end-all goal? Is just the money, hitting that in a quick succession?
I think this might be an interesting answer. I view a bank account, again, my business owner told me this. He's told me my business partner told me this, that bank accounts should be built on relationships, not the dollar amount in them. Rapid growth for a new barbershop, I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I want my new clients. I want that foot traffic. I want that social media presence. That rapidness is good for me. But I want that longevity as well. I want to carry those relationships with me, with the shop, with my team, to greater expand. So rapid growth or steady growth, I would want some.
Which one's better, steady growth or rapid?
I'm going to go with steady. The long haul.
I mean, because there's always a situation where rapid growth, where maybe you're not ready to handle it, or people can't get in, or people.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you've got a great platform.
Well, Andrew, you saw that in in your past life, you saw rapid growth, but not being able to deliver on the back end. So that is not the answer.
That's
it's
what
just
my
a
background is in. That's what my degree is in, is business and systems and building things so that you can be administrative and run stuff. And if you don't have the foundation down, I mean, you can get a million leads, but if you can't get the roofs on, or you can't do everything precisely like you'd want to, then you better go with steady growth. Or else you fumble the ball and you lose a chance, and then you've negatively impacted your brand because you couldn't handle the rapid growth.
I agree with that 100%.
Well, that kind of ties
Quality.
to the sixth one, which is money is the best motivator. And it doesn't sound like any of you agree. I don't think that the money, personally, is the end all. It is changing. Yeah, I mean, you can make money doing anything, but for me, and I've said this over and over again, our favorite thing to do is find the broken toys or the things that nobody cares about and taking them from the ground level to the penthouse quickly, because that's where it's fun. When somebody has never heard of a company and all of a sudden it's all over the city, that's the juice for us.
Yeah. My dad, coming from humble beginnings, my dad was a minister and didn't make a lot of money growing up. My parents owned a daycare center that most of that money went back into the church to help people. So I didn't grow up with a lot of money. We had a comfortable life because we weren't chasing materialistic things. And so my dad, a conversation I had with him, he goes, I just don't want you to be chasing money to the point that you're miserable or not happy. And I said, Dad, I appreciate that, and I'm not chasing money. I go, but in a basketball game, if we're playing a basketball game, at the end of the game, it's who has the most points, and that's kind of what you're judged off of. And I'm not comparing myself to anybody, but the money is the scoreboard. The money is the hard work, and you deserve to be proud of that. You deserve to tell people that you're making good money because of the hard work that you put in. None of us would probably be doing what we're doing if there wasn't some form of money involved. We all have to be honest about that. You don't wake up when you're having a stressful day and go to work and work hard all day because you just like to do it. I'm stressed out today, but I'm still going to work. You're doing it because there's a goal of money. So if you're chasing money and just money, you might be successful, but then the misery comes later because that was your whole focus is money. It can't be about that. There has to be a balance. Money is a great incentive to get to a certain place. Money is power. Cash is king. But you have to be realistic with it.
Like iced tea right now.
Yeah. We just hung out yesterday, actually. Great. But yeah, so I think it goes both ways, Mike. I mean, that's how I look at it. I am motivated by money. Is money the reason I'm working for myself? No. This is the reason I'm working for myself. What we're doing right now is priceless. You can't put a price on, being able to talk about this type of stuff with people that are friends of mine. That is so much greater than money, but still, at the end of the day, I want to make a lot of money.
I like to say I'm shoe motivated.
I like this.
I really need money because I really like shoes. But I would much rather sit in a room with guys like this and talk about our success and not know what's in any of your bank accounts, but know that you're all really successful and I'm around good energy and good people, but I can also take you guys shoe shopping with me. That's what I'm into.
That's funny you say that, because I remember it was probably 6-7 years ago, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and I was still in school, and I was running this business that I was making $15 an hour or something. It was enough, I had health care, and it was enough to I could live a little bit. But to me, I'm travel motivated. I want to be able to have money to go. I want to have money and time to be able to do what I want to do. And if I want to take off for a week, I can reschedule some stuff and come back next week and get right back to it. But I think, to me, the spice of life is being able to enjoy other cultures and other parts of the world and kind of frame. It helps me with the framework of how I approach problems. Or when you're in Bangkok, Thailand, where people literally open up a garage door, shop thing, and that's their house. It's one room. And they're happy. And they're smiling, and they're nice to be around. You realize you don't need all the stuff that we want. I don't know if I'll ever own a $250,000 car in my life. To me, that seems like a waste. I used to love and be obsessed with cars. That seems like a waste of time to me. There's so many things I can experience and do. I guess you got to have enough money to not even worry about it if you can buy a $250,000 car.
I'm going to tell you this funny story really quick.
Yeah.
I walked outside of my shop this morning, and there was a blacked out Porsche. Gorgeous, murdered out, parked right in front of the shop, and then directly across the street was the Miller Lite delivery, the keg guy, in a big 16-wheeler. I took a photo of it and I sent it to my girl, and I said, I don't know which car I want more. all that beer, that Porsche. I don't know what I want because I want to go home and drink a lot of beer with you. But that Porsche looks real nice. But I bet you'll make more memories drinking that beer with you.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good perspective, for sure.
That also should be a T-shirt.
Next business venture.
Yes, we got one last piece, and I want to get this out. And I want to start with Andrew. People are expendable. True or false?
False. I don't think you should ever enter into a relationship or think somebody's expendable. You should try to find the value in that person, pull it out of them, and then once you've done that, you give people the keys to be able to run their life a little bit differently. When you can build somebody's strengths or weaknesses or strengths up that they don't even know they have, and then figure out how to utilize that, gives people purpose. So I disagree with that.
I think it's true. Sorry, Andrew. But on a different perspective. No, Andrew's spot on. I totally agree with that. But you're expendable if you give somebody power
to expend.
Right? Like, so everybody's replaceable.
If you give them a reason to get rid of you.
Or the power. If you're an entrepreneur and you own your own business, no, you're not.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But if you work for somebody, you are, and everybody's replaceable. From the top CEO, from the highest company, you're replaceable. It's just but on another note, I agree with Andrew on his perspective. I think it goes both ways, but we're all replaceable.
I think I agree with both of them equally in an extreme amount of balance. Every single human is expendable. Make yourself valuable enough that everyone around you wants you and needs you.
That was perfect because we had to wrap up right there. You nailed it. Meg, thank you for coming on today. Andrew, thanks for showing up. And Madison, as always, you can take next week off.
I have nothing else to do. I'll be here.
Okay. Well, you've been listening to 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. Thank you for listening.
Nice.
Yeah.